inculcate in our officers a modern, versatile mindset to face the challenges of the 21st century. Equip our officers with tools that they can effectively use to implement foreign policy. The world has changed. Requirements have changed. Realignments are taking place. As we often say, the world is in a flux. The question is, are we in sync with the changing realities? Hence, our vision in the Foreign Office, in my view, must include a series of steps that will fulfill the requirements of today and tomorrow. What steps? Our vision is to promote and project the macro vision, the larger picture of Pakistan's foreign policy. How are we viewing the world around us in this changed environment? We must build, as Tanya, you said, and rightly so, a digital landscape. Do we have one? If we don't, why not? Moving towards e-governance, paperless office. Do we fully understand the power of social media? Arsalan was here, young, dynamic person, and he talked about the power of social media. Frankly, I was unaware of the strength and the power of social media till a few years ago. And today, at least I'm conscious, not equipped, but conscious of the strength and the destructive ability of social media and how to deal with this. Are we trained? Are we trained to deal with destructive and disruptionist trends? Perhaps we are not. We react, knee-jerk reactions. That's not. Policy is consistently thinking through and implementing. Are we comfortable in handling e-visas? We've introduced e-visas. Many of our missions are sort of rolling out e-visas. What are the challenges they're facing? Are they comfortable? Are they equipped and trained enough to deal with this? Then there is a concept that besides the launch, Shah, that I intend to introduce. It's called FM Direct. What is FM Direct? How will it help me? I think it's a step to throw up new ideas. It's a step to look for out-of-box solutions to the challenges we are facing on a daily basis. How do we provide an opportunity to young officers, some of you sitting at the rear end, to excel and get recognized for your ability? How do we do that? Are we evolving a transparent way of communication? And what are the advantages of having a transparent communication system? The website we're going to launch today, in my view, will promote transparency, accountability, and enhanced accessibility. We should recognize, reward, and appreciate officers through their contributions and not grades. Our system is grade-based. 21, 22, 18, 17. We are stuck in that mindset. I think we will have to get out of that mindset. Delivery, performance is the grade and should be recognized as a grade. The first manifestation of vision for an office is the launch of the new website. In my view, this website is going to be user-friendly. It will enhance accessibility and hopefully will be more informative. Certainly more informative. I could see the smile. This will be launched. This will be followed by another launch. And what is that another launch? We have developed a new innovative app. And this has been developed with the help of Nadra, called FM Direct. This app will connect the foreign service officers across the globe directly with the foreign minister and his office. It's physically impossible to travel all over. It is physically impossible to connect with all officers. I can spend 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day, and I do, but that's not enough. It's not enough. How do we remain accessible? I think that is one option that technology has provided us to be available to officers and to ideas. In my view, this FM Direct would create a more meritocratic environment within the Foreign Office. It will enable officers of all grades, senior, junior, and their views will be heard at the highest echelon. And that is important. Unless you are heard, how do you get recognized? How do you search for talent? From amongst you, inshallah, many of you sitting here will be the future diplomats of Pakistan. One of you will be foreign secretary, ambassadors representing Pakistan. So how do we enable you to serve your country, which you do very ably, and I recognize that, despite the limitations, and I know the challenge that you have, across in numbers and in budgets. I'm talking of our eastern neighbor. I mean, they're far, far larger in officer corps and the money available to them. So how do we do things more efficiently, in a more cost-effective way? I recognize that within the Foreign Office there are some divisions that are more attuned to e-governance, and some are totally oblivious of this reality. So we have to level up. Foreign Office, Mr. Chairman, has invested in a secure, encrypted video conferencing facility. We are trying to connect key capitals to the headquarters through the secure video system, so that we can have conferencing People don't have to travel. Time and money can be saved through this new linkage that technology has made it possible. Then we are also in the process, and this is part of the vision FO, we are in the process of, Excellencies, restructuring, redesigning and relocating the Foreign Service Academy of Pakistan, a very important institution that will train the future diplomats of Pakistan. Inshallah, it'll take some time, but the concept has been approved by the Prime Minister, and we will be relocating to the former Chinese embassy that has been gifted to the Foreign Office of Pakistan by the Chinese government, and we are grateful for that. And they have been very generous, and they've offered to finance the state-of-the-art Foreign Service Academy for us, to train not just diplomats for Pakistan, but for the region. And believe you me, when people are in institutions at that nascent age, it leaves an impression. I'll give you an example. Just a few days back, I was in Sri Lanka, and I met the President of Sri Lanka. What was connecting him to Pakistan, besides the good bilateral relations we have, was that the years that he spent in Pakistan as a young second lieutenant doing a military course in one of our institutions. So linkages count, and they have an impact. How are we optimally, we're spending money, but how are we optimally utilizing the tools available? For example, the Institute of Strategic Studies, the Foreign Office pays for it. But are we fully utilizing it is the question. And how can we do it in a more scientific way? Where do we get researchers from? The average officer is, very hardworking, but he has his desk full of, things to do. Who does the research? Who does the reflection? Researchers. Do we have them? If not, let's create them. Let's look for them. For input for policy formulation, and how can we use the existing tools and institutions available more effectively and more optimally is Vision F4. Prime Minister, on my request, has set up a 3-member committee on what to do with the Institute of Regional Studies. You must be aware of that. To what extent it's contributing, and what has been its performance needs to be examined. I am of the view they would be better placed in the Foreign Office, and we can give them the task that they were created for. So, that's part of Vision FO. The external publicity wing, where should be located? Where should it be placed? Shah Sahib is smiling because he's been former Minister for Information.
And I had offered it to the Foreign Office in 1998, but the Foreign Office turned it down.
this foreign office under Vision FO will grab it.
Okay, good.
So how do we make use of a facility that is there and the taxpayer money is financing it? That's the question. We have institutions. Are we utilizing them properly or not? That is the question that needs to be looked into. FM Connect. What is this concept of FM Connect? And why do we need it? How do we engage? How do I, as Foreign Minister, engage with different stakeholders who will be affected by Pakistan's foreign policy? Am I getting their input? Or am I being deprived of that input? How do we set up a framework for a progressive foreign policy? And I think this FM Connect is a vision that we've already put in place, and I'm sharing it with you, is through coffee mornings. I've decided, and I invite people in groups, different sections of society, to come to the Foreign Office. We've opened up Foreign Office. We want to open up this Foreign Office to come, mingle, share, discuss, and get a feedback. I've had two such interactions, one with the international media correspondents based in Islamabad, and the other with the business community, business leaders, to promote economic diplomacy. And the next two that I'm planning are with academia. We have some very bright people sitting at different universities, not being acknowledged, not being connected. Think tanks. How do we connect with think tanks? That's the idea behind these coffee mornings and FM Connect. Moving on, Foreign Ministers Advisory Council. I set it up as soon as I came in, and that's part of Vision F4. What is this Advisory Council? Who are people there? Seasoned, senior, retired diplomats, rich in experience. A lot of them are based in Islamabad. They want nothing. They're not looking for a job. They're not looking for a salary. They've spent their life in this institution. They love this office. They have grown from lower ranks to the top. And I have 6 to 7 former foreign secretaries engaging with me, helping me, guiding me, educating me, frankly, educating me on how to do my job more efficiently, how to deal with challenges that we are facing today. They can connect us to the past. Listen, hold on, don't panic, don't panic. We dealt with this situation in 1974. This is what happened in 65. This is what happened in 87, right? That connection, that institutional connectivity comes, that taking advantage of institutional memory is the concept behind the Foreign Ministers Advisory Council. Economic diplomacy. Why economic diplomacy? And it took me a year, ladies and gentlemen, to convince that there's a need for economic diplomacy. A country which is not economically stable and vibrant cannot, in my view, attain its foreign policy objectives. There's a linkage. One complements the other. When you're economically growing and stable, it enhances your international image. And when your international image is enhanced, it attracts entrepreneurs and investors into your country. So it's a two-way traffic. Fulfilling this and taking a step forward, we've just, the Foreign Secretary is here, concluded a two-day envoys conference here in the Foreign Office called Engage Africa. The Ministry of connected with the Ministry of Commerce because it's their baby. We're not stepping on their toes. That's not the idea. There is no turf involved here. They lead, we assist. We are only holding hands for the betterment of Pakistan. How we can be supportive? How can our ambitions and our ambassadors sitting abroad be helpful in promoting investments and trade? And inshallah, the next envoys conference will be in the region. One was here. We had a discussion. We got input from the private sector, and then we have developed a roadmap. There was a presentation made to the Prime Minister. The President inaugurated it, and the Prime Minister came to the concluding session. And now we have a clear roadmap on how to engage Africa, a continent of 1.2 billion people with a combined GDP of $2.3 trillion. How do we connect with them? So the next step is Nairobi, 31st of January. The Ministry of Commerce, businessmen, and our envoys will be in Nairobi taking the next step forward for promotion of Pakistan's interests, economic and political. I'll be traveling with the Prime Minister to Malaysia and taking advantage of my presence there and the Foreign Secretary's presence there. We will be holding another envoys conference, developing our Look East vision. Why do we want to connect with the East? Why is Asia being called, the continent of the future, the continent of the 21st century? Why? Why is the pendulum swinging this way? We need to understand and recognize that, and readjust and realign accordingly. For example, we have just signed, I was in Brussels to sign the strategic engagement plan with the European Union. Yesterday, in this very room, I had all the European, and some of here, the European ambassadors. And what we discussed was, okay, we've signed the engagement plan, great step. What next? Do we have a roadmap? Do we have a plan? What are we going to extract from this engagement plan? Do you have an idea? Europeans? Do we have an idea? Pakistanis? And if we do, let's share those ideas and see how we can mutually benefit from each other. How can we promote not just trade and investment? How can that platform be used to promote bilateral relations with 28 important European countries? A very important market for Pakistan. huge diaspora living in Europe. How do we tap on their talent? Is Vision FO. Kashmir Cell. We've set up, Shah Sahab, a Kashmir Cell in the Foreign Office. Different stakeholders meet. We share ideas, we discuss. And we are seeing this challenge, how to deal with this challenge, how to update the world on the changing situation in the Indian occupied Kashmir, how to tell them how human rights are being abused, how fundamental rights are being usurped. But the question is, what's the end game? Do we have a plan? And what is that plan? Vision FO should talk about that plan, that end game. Economic Affairs Division is the lead ministry that looks after joint ministerial commissions and our engagements. What have they done? How many JMCs we've signed? Because I've seen we have JMCs with many countries that we have not visited over the last decade or more. Why? What are we doing? MOUs, we sign MOUs. How are they being converted into improving the quality of life of the ordinary Pakistani? Is Vision FO. So, this is the concept that I wanted to share, and I think this is a step, a first step. Obviously, there are bright officers in this ministry, and inshallah, I will keep seeking your guidance and look forward to your support in serving this country in whatever way we can, more honestly and more efficiently. Let me thank DG Headquarters and his team for making this happen. Let me thank our website developers team for designing this new website for us. And let me thank you, Imran Akhtar Sahab, you and your team, for helping the Foreign Office gratis, without a charge. People in the private sector charge. You've done it for love of Pakistan, and thank you for doing so. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.